Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Shiny here. Today's video is going to be my reading wrap-up for July. I read 3 novellas this month, 5 books. Out of those 5 books, 3 were romance, 2 were fantasy, and the 3 novellas were all romantic suspense. So the first book I read was Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I got this book July 3rd and it came out July 2nd. So it's also not like I was waiting for this release. I'm not really one of those people that stalks release dates. I just happened to walk into Barnes and I saw it and I grabbed it. It was pricey because it's a hardcover book, so it's $22 for this book at Barnes, which I guess isn't bad for a hardcover, but still a lot more than I usually spend. I got this because obviously love Lauren Roberts, loved Powerless. This book was a little bit of a letdown. I think if there hadn't been a romance in this book, I wouldn't have enjoyed it at all because the plot was really weird. Like, we would be progressing in the actual whole story plot and then a romance scene would slip in and the plot would stop. And then we keep going with the plot again. Like, it was kind of like that. That's kind of what it felt like. But I love the characters, love Peyton, love Kai, and the ending of this book was crazy. I also did not enjoy that we got point of views from Kit in this book, which is Kai's brother. Did not enjoy those. Would rather have skipped over them, to be honest, because they were kind of him just wallowing in self-pity. So didn't really like those. After listening to other people's reviews, I started to remember exactly why I didn't like this book, which was the plot. And so I brought the rating down to like a 4. I still love this book. I would recommend it. I just don't think the plot was anything to go crazy over. Then I went on vacation and I read Practice Makes Perfect. You guys saw this in my previous vlog, but I read this book first on my vacation. I should have read When in Rome by Sarah Adams first, which I read later in the month, but I didn't really need to. Like, I understood this book fine. I understood the characters fine. I really enjoyed the girl. I really connected with her and what she was going through. She was one of the characters that I feel like was done really well by Sarah Adams. Just an insanely dynamic character that has changed over the 2 books that she's been in. I love the guy as well. I think he was interesting. I think he changed a lot too. Don't really connect with him as much, but I think he changed a lot too in the book. They have a few really good tropes in here, but I feel like the way they met was kind of like sudden, and the way the relationships happened wasn't necessarily sudden, but the start of it kind of was. So there's that. I really enjoyed this book. Definitely recommend it. I gave it, I think, a 4-star. Really enjoyed this book a lot. I would definitely recommend this book if you're looking for like a fun summer small town little rom-com. Definitely the vibes. I really loved this book and one of my favorites from Sarah Adams. Then I read 1,000 Heartbeats by Kira Cass. This is her newest release. My friend read it and said she liked it, so I read it. I will say, she said she liked it, didn't love it for a reason, because I felt the exact same way, I think I loved the girl's character. She was really good character, really loved everything that she'd gone through, just the way that she was expressed, the way she was written was perfect. But there are some really weird things in this book. This part is probably going to spoil a few things, so if you don't like spoilers, you can skip till after I'm done talking about this book. There is a guy that is in love with her. 2 actually, but one of them, the cover is his quote, and she doesn't end up with him. So I think that's really weird, the fact that she named the book after what one of the characters said. So I don't really know what that was about. It's a really good title, but I don't really know what that is about. I will say the quotes were really good. I tabbed a bunch of the quotes, so you can see I had a lot of fun with the quotes in this book. Also, the actual romance subplot doesn't start till like halfway through the book. And you get dual POV, so you're kind of just waiting for it to start, and it doesn't happen till the second half of the book. But when they first meet in like the first half of the book, there's like an attraction that just all of a sudden blows up into this, I want to marry you, out of nowhere. So that was really random for me. And yeah, I kind of didn't really love this book. The first half was a struggle to get through. I really did not like the first half. And because of that, I will say I gave this book a lower rating than I probably should have. I gave it a 2.5. The plot was all over the place, very sudden, rarely random. I just didn't connect with really anybody. I love the girl's character, but I didn't really connect with her either. This was kind of a disappointing read, but a 2.5. And for 500 pages of reading this, 250 pages being nothing for me, I think that's honestly pretty good because I did not like the first half at all. Then this book has all 3 of my novellas in it. The first one is On the Run by Lynette Eason. I love Lynette Eason. She's been one of my favorite Christian romance authors since I first started reading again, like in like 7th grade. But I will say this book was not nearly one of my favorites. This book is about Daria Nevsky, who is an IT specialist for the FBI, which is like a computer specialist, and Riker Donahue, who's a doctor. And their love story is also very sudden, very random, very kind of forced. But these two characters each come from a series by Lynette Eason. So Daria's from the Blue Justice series, which is a series about a family that's all involved in law enforcement. She's a friend of that family. Riker is from the Danger Never Sleeps series, and he is a friend of one of the couples in that series. So they are on the run from danger, as you can tell, on the run. And I just didn't really appreciate this book. I didn't really connect with either of the characters. The writing felt a little forced in this book, which is really weird because I usually love Lynette Eason's books. So it felt a little forced and like rushed. I didn't really like the plot. Didn't really like anything. But I will say I'm going to rate this like a 2.5 just because I love Lynette Eason. I would not have rated this book any higher than I rated it, but I would have rated it lower had it not been Lynette Eason. The second novella in this book is called Deadly Objective by Lynn H. Blackburn. This was my favorite book probably this month. I really liked this one because I loved the relationship that the two main characters formed. So it's called Deadly Objective, and it's about a physical therapist named Emily and a Secret Service agent named Liam. And they're both paired to work with the vice president's son, who was injured because a bunch of superfan girls injured him when they mobbed him. Liam is like in love with Emily. In the beginning, you're kind of dropped into this scenario where they both don't really know what they are, but they're friends and they don't know if they're anything more. And then the vice president's house gets blown up, and that's when this whole story kind of starts. There's just a few things that I didn't like. I really loved this book. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't like the fact that Emily was going through something and she never like got closure for that. She never really told Liam that. There was never any like kind of agreement with that or anything, so I didn't like that. But other than that, I really like this book. I would give this book probably like a 4.5. Really enjoyed reading this story and just learning about these characters. The next novella in this book is called Caught in the Crosshairs. I will say I skimmed the last part of this book, so I could technically say it's a DNF, which probably would be better than rating this book, to be honest, because I would rate this book really low. I did not like this book. I did not connect with the characters. I was reading this book at night, and I usually get into books at night unless they're really good. And I picked it up in the morning, and I did not remember anything I read, did not connect with the characters again. It was awful. Like, I honestly could not read it anymore, so I skimmed it. I did not connect to the characters. I did not like the plot. I didn't actually like half of the characters in this book. I'll say it's a DNF just because I didn't give it a chance. I would say this is probably a hard DNF. I probably won't pick it up again. Then I got home from vacation and I read When in Rome. This book fell flat for me. I was expecting a lot more from it than I should have probably. There was no plot. The plot was so random. The romance was very random. Yeah, I didn't really connect with either of the characters because there wasn't a lot to connect with. It felt like there wasn't a lot of like emotion in the book, and I have a hard time reading books like that. Practice Makes Perfect was definitely better for me. I didn't like this book nearly as much, so I'd give this book 2.5 stars just because I do like Sarah Adams' writing, and it's usually not like this. So I don't know what happened. It was cool to see where the characters in Practice Makes Perfect come from and like what their story was originally, how they actually first like met and stuff. So that was cool, but other than that, I didn't really connect to this book at all. The final book that I read in July is called The Match by Sarah Adams. This is her re-release and the edited and extended version, because she originally wrote this as her first book like ever. And so I thought that was really cute, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. It was definitely a good book. It's about a girl named Evie who comes from a high class, very powerful family, and a man named Jacob who is basically like making his own way in the world. And Evie decided that she also didn't want to live off her parents' money, so she moved out. So she's working for a company that supplies people with service dogs. She has epilepsy, and she has had a dog from this company, so that's why she's so passionate about this. The man, Jacob, he has a daughter, and she has epilepsy as well. And she really wants a service dog, but he doesn't want one. He's a single father, by the way. So he meets Evie, the girl, because his daughter, Sam, hijacked his email and sent an email to Evie asking them to meet. They get off to a rough start. From there, it's about finding Sam and Jacob the perfect dog to go with them. They end up falling in love, and there's this whole thing. And I will say, this is kind of a spoiler, so skip if you don't like spoilers. There is a third act breakup. So if you hate third act breakups, don't read this book. I happen to be okay with them, so it didn't really affect me too much, but there is. I would rate this book a 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I didn't really connect with the characters, but I thought that the plot was really good, and the way the characters were written was really good, so I didn't feel the emotional connection, but I did, like, see how other people could connect to them, because this was a really good and relatable book for most people, just not for me. So I really enjoyed this book. 4 stars, last Sarah Adams book and last book of the month. That's it for today's wrap-up vlog. I'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed it.